Alright, in this video I am going to talk about, I think I already posted that stuff online anyways. There is a lot about where exactly the Russians had me and my father, let's say, in Russia. Where did the Russians have me and Igor Juršić, Janez Ogulin, Novo Mesto police director, psychiatrist Petar Kapš, absolutely my neighbor Metod Jerman, other police investigators for torture purposes throughout Russia. Where exactly? Everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. Father traveled throughout entire Russia. And this included even this location here. Let's just concentrate on this stuff. Everywhere in Russia. Everywhere in Russia. I do have a recording of him before he was thrown into the home for elderly people.
Ruskoe more.
I say to the father, Russian Ocean, Russian Sea.
Kad si ti bio tamo u Rusiji onda?
I ask him, Father, were you in Russia? Have you ever been in Russia? He was everywhere in Russia. This here is about, well, you can see that stuff on a map yourself. Especially of the biggest interest was to him fishing locations. Igor Kotar, Dr. Igor Kotar, neighbor, was with him everywhere. Hunting, fishing, this is what the biggest interest. Russia became a very, very popular destination for Slovenian politicians, for Slovenian parliament politicians. This is why MK Ultra was such a big deal, because you get a free ride to wherever the fuck you want, whether that be United States of America or Russia, for free. You get to fish with the locals, see the nature, everything free. Free tickets, free food, free absolutely everything for free. Vladimir Putin was poking fun at me, laughing at me, when he suggested for my father and for others that if I will be good, he will give them a sign and they will be able to testify for me, etc., 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 in Russia. And who knows how many locations everywhere. So it wasn't about whether the father was there, the father was not there. Not even about how many times he was there. I was just poke father a little bit to see what he's gonna say if I ask him if he ever was in Russia. And guess what? He gave me a green light that he actually was in Russia. Interesting.
Si bio? Kje si pa bil?
So I asked him, you were? Yeah? This is very, very behavior that maddens me type of behavior, you know. Imagine you have somebody like myself opportunity to talk to, even for the cost of your own life, basically saving yourself a life, and you don't actually take time and say, please sit and ask questions, whatever. I'm his son, and is just giving you such a barely any answers, acting like a big shot, you know, like just something that I didn't deserve, and something that he was not allowed to do so. It is simple as this. Yeah, that stuff angers me, really. That kind of attitude, that kind of dismissive attitude and stuff like this. Well, you just don't want to have that kind of attitude in my face. Or yeah, you can have it, whatever. He damaged himself. He ended up like this. Psychiatrist Petar Kapš, Novo Mesto police, Robert Golob plan on making him blind. 98. Medical file like this for my father, medical file like that for me. Robert Golob, politician from Milan Kučan. HAGUE Ljubljana physicians from the UKC Ljubljana physicians writing down what needs to be done with me, what needs to be done with the father. Do you understand? When I say a medical file or the medical problems that none of us even had problems with, that's what I'm referring to, the medical file. That's the understanding of Milan Kučan, of the Robert Golob. A medical file of disease or the problem, medical problems which nor father nor I were diagnosed with, but that needed to be done, written on medical file, on a paperwork Robert Golob had in his hands, given to him as an assignment to put this stuff into a reality, into motion through the torture. Do you understand what kind of medical file is? I did not. In 95, in 96, I did not understand what the fuck this guy was talking about. But it came to me over time when I recall these things, what this was all about, how this stuff works, how this MK Ultra, what this is. Physicians, doctors from Ljubljana, from Milan Kučan, and everybody knew this. Everybody knew about this. British royals learned, everybody learned about that stuff. It was a horror. It was a horror from beginning, but it became a matter of routine, just as I explained. And for Bill Clinton, and even for British royals, for Prince Charles, who started to bribe involving medical experimentations where Bill Clinton failed and didn't have the guts to continue, it was Charles that came him to the rescue. So let's go again with this stuff. I got really angry about this stuff.
Ruskое море.
Russian Sea, yeah.
Kad si ti bio tamo u Rusiji, Adi?
Have you, hey father, have you ever been to the Russia? Have you ever been to the Russia?
Si bio?
Were you? Can you imagine you ask somebody who traveled with you and saw all this, and you're asking him in such a way and giving you such a dismissive attitude that actually is affecting your how the hell can I say? It kind of places you in the area of crazy or stupid. Not gonna say affects your courage, but you know, this is just not the way to treat somebody who was tortured in the Russia 47, 45 years. That's crazy, this kind of attitude.
Kje si pa bil?
And so I asked him, like I'm fucking talking to myself. So, where were you?
Kje u Rusiji si bil?
Where in Russia were you?
Moskvi.
And he answers finally to me, in Moscow.
Kje u Rusiji si bil? Moskvi. Samo u Moskvi, nikjer drugje.
So I say, you were only in Russia, nowhere else? You were only in Moscow? You were not anywhere else? I was also elsewhere.
Ja pa kje?
And so I asked him, so where were you? So where else in the Russia were you? After he tells me I was also elsewhere, in other locations, I said, well, where were you? Do you know what he asks me? Do you know what kind of question he asked me? He asked me, do you have to know everything? No. This is an attitude that my father had, and basically this is how he ended, because of this kind of attitude.
Človek pravi, da je bil v Moskvi.
So I continue, I said, man says that he was in the Moscow. Mother doesn't like to hear this stuff. I told you this is a psychiatrist, police officer inside of the house. She says, if he says to you that he was, then he was, right? And I say, it's what I ask, it's under his trust, honor, you know. It goes into the sub-honor when I ask him, you know. He feels like it's, you know, I don't deserve, you know, an honor to ask his question. Basically, this is the way I feel. So I stand up and I go away. I say, I know I'm an amateur, and pretty much I signal him, have a good day. I say to him, have a good day, bye-bye. Where are you going now? And so I go, basically, because there's just like this messy, like this kind of attitude. Yeah. I am trying to get my father at home based on MK Ultra scenario, because of also they signaled, because of this situation at home for elderly people as it would develop, my father would come home. I was told even that this would resolve and that my father would come home. They started to discuss also in front of me the issues as far as where else could we put him and so on and so forth during MK Ultra, and signal during MK Ultra, playing with my sanity, that he would come home. Finally, that he would come home. This was just during MK Ultra. In reality, they tried to drive me completely insane, as you know, using father, placing him literally on a brink between existence, life and death. Once I managed to video record his state, physical state, they cut me the right to visit father, with goal to create a physical violence, get me trespassing and so on. So a pretty disgusting stuff. I did stop by at home for elderly people, and I did spoke to the substitute of director for explanation and so on, which the only explanation he gave me was the statement. I'm gonna play that stuff to you too. The goal was literally to take the website down, all my presence from the internet. They had me at the court, the local judge, also Ljubljana. We had to go also with a car to Ljubljana. There was a judge, and he demanded from me to put everything from home for elderly people down, from the internet and so on, or that it would be the whole website taken down. Demanded from me to acknowledge all during MK Ultra. Mom would have to sit in the car, I would sit in the car, and they would drive us, whatever the fuck they were doing with us. Again, psychiatrist Peter Kapš, Novo Mesto police, neighbor Metod Jerman was everywhere, just like in the Russia. And the channels they were using, basically, insane stuff. I'm gonna get to these issues next, but this is just about where exactly was father in the Russia. Well, he was everywhere. He was especially the biggest interest, not in Russia, but also he was in Belarus and everywhere. To him were hunting and fishing. And so the locations that he went truly were marvelous for fishing, for hunting and so on, just as I explained in this video. And so I got a very, very little feedback from him. And before you know, they pack him up and dump him into the home for elderly people. I mean, this is just the way it is. Label him as already that is insane and stuff like this. This is the way this stuff is done in Slovenia. Now, I truly regret United Nations Antonio Guterres, who is part of this stuff. I enormously regret, when you know about this stuff and you just, basically all the Illuminatis involved in this stuff. This is why we're never going to reach any kind of, we are just going to be completely, basically nothing new really. This is the way you were. Yeah, but what's also interesting, it wasn't only about the son from KARAĐIĆ. KARAĐIČ, it wasn't only the son from KARAĐIČ or the brother from KARAĐIČ. Let me see this here. Children. Sonia Karadzic, Jovicevic, Alexander Sasha Karadzic. It wasn't only about this stuff here, but it was of this Serbian war criminals. Sons, they started to guarantee me. This is what I found as maybe truly extremely impressive. This stuff was extremely impressive to me today. There we go, like this. Facebook. Oh, look at that. I don't get any of that stuff here. Really? Okay. Hopefully I get through this one here. Yeah. Heaven love. It's a heaven love. It wasn't only these people here that were giving me a promise that, that for my doing stuff to their fathers. And it was about the Mladic, and it was about the KARAĐIČ, it was about the MILOŠEVIĆ, where they were catching them. The NATO was using me, literally, for the sting operations. Not only that they would use me for the sting operations, but these are the war criminals that, at whatever costs, wanted me to feel what is it to lose, and their sons and their daughters, what were we to lose their fathers and so on, disregarding facts that their fathers were war criminals. Not that their sons and daughters would be any better. They're just regular Chetniks, basically, criminals, just like their fathers, just like their parents. And I had the guts to actually come in my face during MK Ultra, come even to Slovenia, to give me promises that my father would be killed, just as their parents were sentenced on the war crimes for the crimes against humanity. This is the way I deserve to my parents to suffer. And they were using Robert Golob for that matter. They were using Nataša Pirc-Mus, our Slovenian president now for that matter. Robert Golob is a Slovenian prime minister. They were using Borut Pahor for that. They were using Tanja Fajon, who was more vicious, more bloodthirsty, maybe than Golob and so on. They were using these so-called Slovenian communists to death threaten me. To death threaten me in Republic Srpska, to death threaten me in Serbia and so on, and even deliver these criminals to Novo Mesto, literally to death threaten, to give me the death threats, promises, retaliation in respect to my father here in the city of the Novo Mesto. But what struck me today the most, and it was really interesting to me, was truly surprising, is, you know who this lady here is? Her name is not really Heaven Love. This is a daughter of Duterte, the Filipino president, the one who declared the war on drugs, but unfortunately ended up committing some kind of serious problems on civilian population. Yeah? And it was funny today when the Facebook app displayed me this page right here, which is exactly based on MK Ultra scenario. This is exactly what I was promised it's gonna be. Let me demonstrate you. It really, when I saw this picture, it really have shaken me. It truly have shaken me. I was really surprised about it when I saw this picture today popping up on the top of the, and it was based on MK Ultra scenario. Duterte was very involved in the MK Ultra with also his children. This is one of his daughters right there that you see. They are denying my dad the proper health care he needs. They are keeping him confined here and not allowing us to bring him to the hospital. He is getting weaker by the minute. This is the stuff that he popped up today on the Facebook to me. Just as you enter the Facebook, like you would enter like a top story, like you go to the Facebook and at the top of the page, it would just be this here that would pop up. I have a lot of people on my friends list, and so no, I mean, Facebook is the one that does this stuff. They are the one that arrange this stuff, this kind of meetings with me, and so that one popped up right on the top, and I'm looking at that. I'm thinking about the father all the time is what I do. I think about how to get the father out of there alive and, basically save his life. And I get this kind of message here, and wow, man. I am, it says here, Kawawa Sitatai, praying for him, amen. And this is from a message from Veronica Duterte. Now, the thing is that I know this man right there. I know that this is a Filipino president, ex-Filipino president. So, man, I am confused about this stuff here. I see this stuff and I really don't know what the fuck to do with it. So I go up here. Hold on a moment. Let me increase this here. Let me increase this a little bit here. I'm really confused. I said to myself, man, that's Duterte, man. What exactly Duterte is doing here now? This looks like Duterte. I said to myself, I said, this is your father. It says here, Veronica Duterte. They are denying my dad the proper health care he needs. They are keeping him confined here and not allowing us to bring him to the hospital. He is getting weaker by the minute. It kind of sounds like my situation. I'm not allowed to visit father and stuff like this. Slovenia is going to regret this. I'm going to tell you that Slovenia, you, the nation, the people, Slovenian people, you're going to fucking pay for this stuff. Hey, you treat me like my father is a war criminal, and even better, psychiatrist Peter Kavš was making fun when he had me inside a psychiatric hospital, and he insisted to me, we're going to change the rules a little bit. You're not going to be allowed to go to father up there, and he's going to be looking at you through the door. You will be coming at home for elderly people, like you were looking at him when he was coming to visit you in psychiatric hospital. So you know that this psychiatrist Peter Kavš, you know what the mental illness is? You know, like what a fucking evil is, like a pure fucking evil? Like Robert Golob, fucking Izmeček Slovenski, huh? You know what a fucking evil is? This is what the fuck this shit is. The Serbia that I demonstrated you. And guess what happened? I found, as I went up here, this stuff here, that this actually is the daughter from Duterte. I would not pinpoint this. I never looked at the daughters and sons from these presidents and stuff, from the Hollywood people. I don't do this. Very seldomly. Lately, finally, I started You know, it was very difficult for me to go after these issues because I had to resolve my own issues first. And I see this, I said to myself, holy shit, you know, I go here and I go Duterte, and I read on the news, Duterte flown to the Hague after arrest over the Philippines drug war killing. Rodrigo Duterte, Philippine ex-leader, on plane to the Hague after arrest. Philippines ex-president Duterte arrested under International Criminal Court warrant. Philippines sends ex-president Duterte to International Criminal Court over drug war killings. This was involved in MKUltra with his children literally inside in here in our house, with Duterte inside in our house. It became a part of the Donald Trump's political agenda. So, you know, I found myself in these circumstances very much because of Donald Trump, and crazy, insane as it appears to me, not it appears to me, but factual, because I was promised this stuff. Listen up to this stuff here. First, let's see the children. Sara Duterte. Veronica Duterte. Sebastian Duterte. And Paolo Duterte. I'm going to put it this way. The kids were very unhappy with me. Veronica, she's just 20 years old. Really, really so young. Involved in this case as a child, suggested me that I don't like her, etc., etc., etc. Now, when it comes to MKUltra, she was not the only one like this. It was 1,000 other girls under MKUltra. This stuff is not even considered as a pedophilia. And as a grown-up man, you're approached by the girls during MKUltra. No, this is not a joke. This is the way it is. Would that mean that she would go any further with me? No, not really. This is used to confuse a victim on the age difference, and they involved even ghost workers that were children at work locations and so on. This was at home for elderly people. They were doing this stuff like this, as an example. Paolo Duterte was extremely, extremely disappointed with me, that I just don't like them, whatever, etc., etc., and that he doesn't need me anymore. This is how it all ended, that he does not need me anymore. And it was whatever it was, 2012 year, 2011, whatever it was. Then he came back on the picture, and and he suggested me, except of course for something else, I might need you. And then the next thing you see, this is the way this is done during MKUltra. The circus broke out with literally suggested me that Duterte is going to be tried on the court at the International Criminal Court. Yeah, you see the pictures of the Netanyahu, and you see the pictures of Vladimir Putin, etc., etc. Now you go to Duterte, you go to Putin, find yourself here, and I don't have to explain to you that this guy is associate of Putin, associate of Donald Trump. Because this tough guys like to stick together with one another. And was this issue here that you see right here was presented to me under this. This is her husband. I learned that this is the daughter's husband. As I did go here, Sara Duterte. This is here. Images. Really is. Husband. And you can see the husband right there. You can see him. I think, is it? Maybe not exactly the same shirt, but yes, this is her husband. So I was presented this issue as the only chance to actually even save my father, that I have to mention them no matter what, that I have to mention them, that I have to mention this. It's going to concern my father, or that my father is going to be kaput. They are going to kill my father. It's going to be either this, or it's, you remember when I mentioned to you, his son stated to me, I don't need you anymore except maybe for this. Yeah, and this here, because this is a case of the schizophrenia. This is not the case that they would say, oh yeah, this is truly the case of MK Ultra. No, nobody stopped by here and said, sir, excuse me, we are here to press charges against police, psychiatric hospital, Slovenian government, etc., for wrong they did to you. No, they did not do that. They still are considering my case, believe it or not, as a case of the schizophrenia. And this is what MK Ultra is. MK Ultra is a schizophrenia. You have a big shots, a big politicians like this, and it's your word against their word. But your word becomes extremely beneficial when these people are summoned to the International Criminal Court. That's basically if you mention their name, their involvement, etc., things have a tendency to resolve themselves very quickly, because they have a power to say, well, you know, he identify us in his involvement, and if you will not let our father go, let's say in this case, we're going to release the videos, audios that we have from him, etc., and you're going to have a problem dealing with them. This is where your case no longer, you know, this is why you're schizophrenic. This is why the authoritarian, dictatorial stuff like this, fascism, sadism, is extremely handy in the hands of the politicians. It's a weapon of extortion, blackmail, and much more than that. It's a weapon literally politicians have used repeatedly to cleanse people out of existence, nations. It's a weapon of war. Evidently, the Duterte, a good friend of Vladimir Putin, evidently the Duterte also used my services. It wasn't only the children of the Serbian war criminals that threatened me and needed my father, and Vladimir Putin that needed my father to be thrown, dumped into the home for elderly people so he could play with my sanity and even destroy me. Play with my sanity when I said I probably received 1,000 death threats directed toward father in front of me during MK Ultra, and I probably really did. At least, if you will not do whatever we told you, this was the order from Novo Mesto Police, from Tanja Fajon. Tanja Fajon would bring the people from Serbia, from Republic of Srpska, Dodik, and so on. They would deliver me there to Serbia, to Republic Srpska, and I would meet these Chetniks and so on. If you will be writing about us or against us, they deliver me to the Russia, to Vladimir Putin. There will be war between Russia and between the Ukraine. If you will write against us, if you will talk against us, your father, home for elderly people. It appears to me that my father had to go in home for elderly people also because of the Duterte, or in other words, because of International Criminal Court. That's not a good news for me, because I am trying to not get people in trouble. But it seems to me that I myself keep getting myself in a trouble, because it was all kinds of politicians that would go in between and would create the wall, the protection wall for all these Chetniks, for all this Slovenian scum. That makes things difficult because, you know, it's a political power behind, and it's, oh, well, if you are going to help this guy and so on, then you're going to fuck our politician who was involved in this and that issue and so on and so forth. And that involves also royalties and so on. So do you know what kind of clusterfuck this is? This man, my father, obviously had to go to the home for elderly people on a deathbed also because of this guy. So there was a whole, and because of the International Criminal Court, who knew about all this stuff. They all knew about this stuff in Hague. Hague was involved in this stuff. They had people here, I'm talking about Americans, I'm talking about the Germans here, who insisted, oh, you don't like this guy, you're not going to help this guy. If you're not going to help, don't worry about it, we're going to help him out, we'll get him out, and so on. With no time, and so on. Donald Trump was really excited about this stuff. You understand this kind of song is? You don't like this guy, you're not going to help this guy. My father is inside of the home on a deathbed because of this guy. You collectively murdered him. You destroyed him, you destroyed the whole fucking family. This is the people that were coming inside of his home. This is the type of garbage I dealt with. This is what is known as a Illuminatis. And this is the first time that the truth gets out of the box for the world to acknowledge what kind of people these are to have around, what exactly I was dealing with these very nice, kind uncles. They had so many young supporters, voters, all kinds of people around them. In the U.S. Army service, in the armed services, in the private sectors, anywhere, from hospitals to the companies, factories, whatever. Yeah, but you need to understand that these are not really people, these Illuminatis. It's about something else. This is scum. You know what this can do to a small individual, to a small human? They fucking destroy you. And I'm not even small. I'm bigger than all these people. Yet they continue to classify me as a schizophrenic. So this is extreme violence we're talking about, you know, people. Just so that you know. Here. I'm going to play you one more time this beautiful audio here about my father giving me a green light how he was in the Moscow and also in other parts of the Russia. Father was everywhere in Russia. You better believe it. And he was enormously a lot because I was tortured in every village, in every city in the Russia, throughout the Russia. From the European part, Kaliningrad, and all the way to the Siberia, throughout the Russia, and even on the Norwegian Svalbard island. That's a Svalbard island north of the Norway, not too far from Nova Zemlya, where the Russia also has island in the North Sea. Russians rented out the city in this Norwegian Svalbard island, where Norwegians also got their hands on me, and British and all kinds of people. They had a really good time watching torture, a real time, what it does to the human being in front of their eyes. Russians had a lot of entertainment with me, and truly, because of this kind of politicians, this is how I lost 53 years of my life. They go and they destroy, they completely eat you out, and they destroy absolutely everything about you. Have a fun over there in Hague, Mr. Duterte. Yes, you are fighting the drugs, whatever you are fighting. I'm sure they're going to save you because it's really, really important stuff that's happening. A man who fights the drugs, etc., and I completely agree with it, should not be tried for taking out bad guys. It's just that I don't really know enough to have this type of judgment on you, because I don't know how you are doing this stuff. When it comes to my case, it appears to me that either you are doing a favor to the Vladimir Putin, or you are doing a favor to the Vučić, to the Chetniks from the Serbia, to the Slovenian garbage here in Ljubljana, who did go out there and they did solicit also other politicians from other countries to do exactly the same, to protect their Serbian comrades, to protect their Russian comrades. This is what Slovenia is. Slovenia is a Vukojebina with a Russian flag, literally. Here is, one time I'm going to play you more. This is just the original audio. I will not translate, but this is in Slovenian.
Rusko je more. Kad si ti bil tam v Rusiji, Adi? Si bil? Kje si pa bil? Kje v Rusiji si bil?
V Moskvi.
Samo v Moskvi, nekje drugje.
Tudi drugje si bil.
Ja, pa kje?
Ja, tam moraš vse vedeti.
Če človek pravi, da je bil v Moskvi.
Če je bil, ne?
Zdaj pa, če vprašam nekaj, pa mu izpočastiti odgovor. Se vem, da sem amater. Arme.
Pa je. Ne, šadija. Tam pa greš zdaj.
I did mention about Ukrainians employed also at home for elderly people and here in the area. I am just glad that these people are in a safe place. They do have employment, but you need to understand that it was exactly psychiatrist Peter Kapsch who would personally handpick them based on the whole crime this animal, Slovenian animal, have enforced against me abroad. Basically based on involvement and degree of involvement and degree of torture. Involvement in degree of torture. He was handpicking people from Ukraine to be here in this area. Somehow psychiatrist Peter Kapsch and somehow these Ukrainians here in the city of the Novo Mesto that were coming here during MK Ultra figured out that in the end somehow together with Zelensky. That's why, you know, Zelensky clearly everything coordinated with Zelensky. He figured out that somehow, some way, at the end, that together also Ukrainians also confirmed that things somehow would not work out in the end between me and these Ukrainians somehow, some way. So really, my father had to be killed for people to get jobs here, come here. Family destroyed. I had to lose 53 years for these political games, for this kind of stuff. Don't ask me why the fuck am I doing this for Ukrainians. It's a simple answer. Due to humanitarian reasons, if it was for the Ukrainians that were coming here and me being taken to Ukraine, believe me, I would support the Russian side. But the Russian side is, this is, I would even call this animals. So, just a humanitarian act for these people to have a home, to have the country, to have a roof over their head, and ability to open themselves for the rest of the world, basically just to have their home, just to see themselves as a human beings. I'm not going to say to see themselves as a human beings, no, but just to give them a chance to see themselves as a human beings in the mirror. Because there is a lot to change in Ukraine, entire justice system. You know, when you're good for yourself, that's what it pertains to these European nations, then only, and only then, you can also be good for others. So if the people suffer in Ukraine and don't even have the guts to see themselves in the mirror for what they are, what they should feel they are, this is just so no good for anybody. This is just a bad news for everybody all around, you know. This is why I'm doing this kind of stuff. But really, if it was for other issues, you know, it would be like Milan Kuchanu on it, literally. Okay. Thanks for watching this video. Till next time. Father was in Moscow, and Father was also in other locations throughout the Russia. The violence, the police violence, continue to go with me, against me, thanks to United Nations that completely is aware of this, thanks to International Criminal Court, people in Hague, people in Strasbourg, European Court for Human Rights, the so-called European Union Commission, you know, the Illuminatis involved in this stuff, basically. Really, really, really incredible, the stuff that you did. I have to congratulate you. It's a masterpiece, and you must be fucking proud about it. You gotta be proud about to kill people like this right out on a bright daylight, destroy families, destroy, erase human lives and so on, and fucking suggest them, hey, you will not do this, you must do this for me, and so on. When it comes to, I had a lot of expectation of what they expected of me and the stuff to do. A lot of expectations, not even fucking food. I'm not gonna say about money. Till you start to bitch, you're not gonna even have, you're gonna have garbage they gave you. They load you with a lot of garbage, with the bad stuff, so that you can fucking die like a rat. Wonderful people, truly wonderful people.